Patriarchy versus feminism. We're going to talk about patriarchy in the Amish community as well as the patriarchy versus feminism that's going on in our culture. I wasn't inspired to tackle this topic because of the Amish per se, but what has happened in my own life as a school teacher. I teach third grade, and we have professional development every Friday. We teach online, so every Friday morning, we'll have some guest speakers come in and different things like that. And one week we had a woman come in, and she was sharing her youth center that she led that was in one of the major cities within our state. And I listened, and I'm always for listening to somebody how they're helping youth. I know that youth struggle, they go through different things, and they need a place to go to feel safe, a place to go have resources. So I'm never obviously ever against that. What struck me during this meeting was we were told lots of different slides came up. You can see one here about oppression, and we were being taught these things like this was the overriding view of the entire professional development was that we need to normalize these thoughts and these different things that she was bringing up all the way from kindergarten up to 12th grade. Our whole school was there, several people. And I saw this oppression chart, and I'm like, what does that have to do with me in education? I know these things are out there, but what does that have to do with my third graders? And then she started talking about the LGBTQ community, which again, that's fine, but what does that have to do with me teaching math? And we were told to normalize these things. And I kept an open mind during the meeting. And then later I thought, well, I want to look up the place where this youth center is, and I did pull it up. It actually is a real place, and it does provide drop-in programs and things for youth. But overall, they serve youth from 12 to 20, and most of the youth that they serve, they said, come in because of the LGBTQ community. They can come in and they help them with their transition. She said that they make sure they don't talk to parents and different things like that. What really shook me was when I saw a picture of her at the time. It was on the site, and she was there, the leader. She was there as the lead speaker for this youth center, and she had a t-shirt on that looked like this, and I found it here online. And that said a lot to me, and that is really what has struck me to talk about patriarchy. Just because talking about it during the meeting was said with vengeance and hate against like the male species and how toxic, and it just really, I felt bad at that time. I thought, well, I've got Amish neighbors, and that's not what we see. They practice this wholeheartedly. The man is the head of the home, and the woman, the Bible does use the word submissive, but the woman does see her husband as the leader of her home, and she respects that. I see it more as a respect than a submissiveness, if that makes sense, because we've kind of ruined that word as well. And it really struck me the way she was speaking about it, so with such anger. We all have a purpose in this life, men and women, and we need to respect that of each other. And so from here, I want to talk about what it means to be a patriarch of your family as an Amish person. One of the things I find interesting during feminism, women are trying to be equal and they fight for that. But if you look in the world of the Amish, the women don't see themselves as less than their husband. Their husband is their leader, just like they view God as their ultimate leader. The man is the leader in the home, and she doesn't see herself as less than. She sees herself as supportive of him. She has a role to play, and he does. Usually, typically, men will go outside, they'll work, they'll plow, they'll do all the jobs, and the women will do most of the home chores. Obviously, if a family has 7 or 8 children and they're all boys, some of them are going to learn household chores and vice versa. But that is a typical setup as far as the Amish family. The Amish man who heads up his family, he doesn't see it as a political thing where I have this power as much as it's his faith. He's honoring God and what God wants him to do. So it becomes a very strong responsibility as opposed to a toxic, I'm all power and everybody has to listen to me. So it's not done that way. Do we have bad actors in this world who do act that way? Absolutely. But in the Amish community, that's not how it is meant to be. If you understand it as part of their community context, then it makes more sense. It's dictated and legitimized by tradition and religion, and then it's reinforced in almost every kind of daily interaction that they have. Everybody in the community respects the men as the patriarch of their family and within their community. So where does this come from in the Bible? If you go to 1 Corinthians 11:3, it says, "The head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." So for the Amish, the church is everything next to family. The father is the head of the family in the same way that ministers lead their congregation. I found it interesting as I was researching this topic. I found a couple articles that were written from men, and they were trying to look at the life of an Amish man compared to the life from themselves. And they found it, they saw the men as being enslaved to their work because that's all they do. They work 6 days a week and they take Sundays off. And I found that interesting because work doesn't have to be something that you're enslaved to. Work can be joyful, work is productive, and work builds character. I personally think that watching a man work and provide for his family and be the head of that family in a positive way, the way God meant for him to be, is much better for the whole family than watching a man maybe sit and watch video games all day or take off and go to the bar and not take care of his family. And I'm just using those as some small examples. But hopefully that helps you understand that the Amish family is not under some kind of a tyrannical rule. It's with love, it's with respect, and it's godly.